All right, and welcome to raising walls, right? How to raise your walls up, right? So you put in a lot of effort into raising our walls, right? Or to drawing out our floor plan, I should say, right? Evaluating our floor plan, right? Determining or guesstimating to our best knowledge of what that should be. And so now we're gonna start to raise our walls up, and we can add doors, things like that, as we go, right? So the way we do that, right? So essentially, what we're saying is we're going to go 2D to 3D, right? And so what you should be thinking in your head is we're going to go from our camera settings, right? So again, we go to scenes, we go to from parallel projection to perspective, right? And then we go on a angle, right? Kind of get that 3D view, right? I'm going to expand this out a little bit, right? So we can see a little bit more of our model, right? And so essentially, what we want to do is see how it's like selected in blue already, right? And notice, and this is a key, and let me actually give you a quick demonstration on this. If I just close this off, right, it's going to totally separate out that bathroom or that whatever that space is there, like a laundry room, whatever, from everything else, right? But as soon as I open it back up, right, it's all good. Now, I just noticed that our title is still untitled, so I'm just going to save this. So I'm going to click on my untitled there, click Sketchup, and it's the model name. So we'll call it, I'm going to call it Tiny House. Right, so we're going to move myself up there. Right, click Save, and then there we go. All right, next we are going to raise the walls, right? So once that's all blue, what's going to happen? This is really cool, right? So we can raise it up, right? And remember, look at the distance, right? What is the height, right? The next question you need to answer is, what is your ceiling height, right? So typical ceiling heights are a minimum of 7 feet. Typical ceiling heights are about 8 to 9, right? And then once you get above, 10 feet, 11 feet, that's extensive, right? So your typical ceiling height is about 8, 9, depending. We're going to go with 8 feet. That's good standard. And then we just do that, right? Boom, 8 feet, ready to go. So there's your, right? So immediately we have a space. It's pretty cool, right? So here we go. Moving on to the next thing. Let's see. So I kind of just like to spin around a little bit, get some new angles, some new views. All right, and so next thing that I'm noticing here is you have to put the top of the door frame. So a door, right, for the people that don't know, right, is 6'5" tall. Sorry, incorrect. 6'8" tall. Right, I am 6'5" tall. Right, so what we do is we go to our move tool. Actually, we click on what we want to move. We select it. We go to the move. We go to control. See that little plus that pops up? All right, now we can duplicate. Look at that. Right, and we gotta go up 6'8". Right, so 6'8", right? 2 hands off, still free, right? And notice how when I move it, it changes. Also, if you notice, it's on edge, right? So you have that red box right there, snapping to the edge. And then it's really hard to see, but if you look close to that edge, it's blue, right? So let's zoom back out. And remember, wherever the mouse is, that's where you'll zoom to. So if I put my mouse over here, it zooms there. Over here, it zooms here. So kind of up there, 6'8", enter. Right? And again, wherever there's a line, it creates 2 separate spaces. Now, you might guess what I'm about to do. What am I going to do? I'm going to grab the push-pull tool, and I'm going to bring it over here. Right? So now it creates this situation, right? And again, this is 2 separate pieces. We don't want that. Right? So easily delete. And orbit around, wherever, center mouse button, delete. Now we have a nice cohesive, right? And when you delete those vertical lines like I just did, right? So when I delete this, it blends it all together, right? So it becomes one piece. See that? One piece. That's very important. That's just good practice on keeping a clean model, right? And things like that, right? So there's that. So we're going to do it again over here. So we're going to click down the bottom, push Control, duplicate that line, go vertical, 6 foot, 8 inches. Gonna extend this out. Delete. Delete. Good. Right, it blends it. That's great. Next, right, so that looks quite good. So now if we look at our floor plan again real quick, it looks like we have some sliding doors over here for these utility spaces, right? So let's jump back. So essentially a sliding door. Now these are bifold doors, right? So that means they flex out. And then above that, these are slide past, like right, slide past, right? Whereas bifold, it flexes. So, I mean, they're still more or less the same distance, but if you look at like a door space, it looks bigger for the bifold. Now, typically a bifold door, right, each section, there's 4 sections, they're about 2 feet in width, right? Maybe 1'8", right? Maybe a little less, right? Maybe 16 inches, 1'4". Depending, it could be smaller. So we're just going to do that. So what we're going to do is we need to put a door here. Right? We need to cut an opening. So what we don't, and so if you look, notice how like this surface space extends beyond, right? Beyond where this you can kind of push through. So what we want to do is we want to separate the space, right? So this is all wall. This is all door area. Right, and notice there's a little bump on the corners, right? About 3 inches, let's call it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to bump the 3 inches. Right, and that's part of the door jamb. This is where having that construction knowledge is very valuable, right? So if you have that, that is very revolutionary. And then take the ceiling height, or the door height, like we just did. Notice how it's on the green, but it looks like it's going up. It's not. It's not. It's going on the green. I remember. So to go vertical, we have to turn it a little bit and go on the blue. So our door height is 6'8" inches. It looks like it's freezing up on me here. Sometimes, the SketchUp, if it gets, as you start building a bigger and bigger file, it might slow down, and I can show you some techniques on how to mitigate that towards the end. Right. For now, we can turn it off, I believe. Autosave, right? So autosave, we'll turn that off. Don't show again. Right, and so you can just consciously remember, click save, right? And when you click save, you're going to have to wait for a second, right? Now we're back. So now we're going to push through like this, right? So that's adding your doors. And it's the same principle for windows, right? So let me just add this other door on the back here. Similar kind of a setup. It looks like, so you already have that line, which I guess it was just existing. But look at our drawing. It looks like the corner by the door kind of extended over a little bit more. So we're actually going to take this line here. And I'm not going to hit the plus. I'm just going to actually just move it. Because I'm not trying to duplicate something. I'm just trying to move something, which is this line. So I'm going to move this over maybe like a foot and see how that lands. I think that's enough space. How much space do we have left? 4 feet. That's pretty big. I'm going to bump it back. So if you take off like 4 inches, so it'll be 3 foot 8 inches, I believe. Right. I think that should be plenty of space. Yeah. Right. Plenty of space. We can always modify. Right. It's up to you, really. We're just going to take 4 inches. Right. And then we're going to go vertical, 6'8" on the height. Right. There we go. So that's how you do doors. Push that through. Now this is important. This is actually, I'm kind of skipping over this. So when we push through, right, see how it goes, right? whenever two surfaces touch each other, they're programmed to just go poof, right? Just disappear. Now, sometimes there's an error where it will push through. I'm not currently getting it, but I'm assuming by the time we're done, you'll get this error. Right? So you can either push it into a surface, which sometimes works. You can orbit around and touch the top edge, which I think is more accurate if you ever have problems. Right? Those are the two solutions, or two options, really. All right. So that's here. Like this. All right. So yeah, nice little opening there. You always want to be able to click in the free space. So I'm going to hit save. All right, since we have those two openings there, right? All right. So next, all right. So some great doors. We're going to need a door in the diagonal, right there. You're going to need a door there. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to add all those doors, and we'll check back to you, and we'll jump into adding windows. All right. Talk soon.